Welcome back. Okay, so now that we've done the general settings in WooCommerce, we're going to be moving on to the products section. So I'm going to click on products tab. So just make sure that you're under WooCommerce and the settings, and we're going to click on the products tab. Okay, and in here, this is where we set our weight units and our dimensional units, the default ones. This is used for shipping. So, and when we get into showing about the products and things like that, where that shows up. So if you're, say, in the United States and you use more of the empirical ones, you can use pounds and inches. The rest of other places uses kilograms and centimeters. For that, I'm just going to leave it as it is. And that does help with the shipping calculations and things like that. So we need to make sure we have that. There are the odd case where certain shipping companies require certain weight units, so you might need to change those depending on that. But from my understanding, the ones that we'll be using, it doesn't matter what you have here. The next one is the reviews section. So this is a customer can review your product. You want to make sure that you definitely want to make sure that they can put ratings and reviews on your products. The reason why I'm saying that is because obviously the more ratings and reviews people see, the more likely somebody's going to buy it. I purposely, when I shop online, I look for ratings to see if those particular products have good ratings. It also shows me that those people are buying from that website, so there is a trust factor on there. So that's what. So I believe it's very important. You can turn them off if you want and uncheck all these, but I recommend leaving them on. So enable ratings on reviews. I would say yes, leave that on there. Ratings are required to leave a review. And I would say, sure. I mean, if you're going to put a review, you should also rate it. Show verified owner label for customer reviews. I think that is really important to have because that shows that somebody actually bought it. And the other one is only allow reviews from verified owners. I highly recommend checking that off because you don't want somebody in here spamming it and they haven't even bought the product. So let's make sure that that is checked off. You kind of earn a right to review, and that right that you've earned is because you've actually spent the money on it. So I've saved those settings. It's very basic here, but we also have some options here that go along. So we're still under the products tab. We just did the general underneath products. We're going to click on display and go through that. Okay, so if you've installed WooCommerce yourself, you might have gone through a setup, and now there should be a supplementary video on setting up WooCommerce from scratch. This came with the template and it loaded all information for us, but it didn't relate any pages. So we need to tell the system where the shop page is so that it knows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the drop down, and there should be a page called shop. And in this case, there is no page called shop. So we're going to go ahead and create one. So to do that, we'd normally go over here to the pages section, but I just wanted to show you something here first. Normally, I would find it in here, and actually it would normally already be pre-selected if we followed the WooCommerce setups when WooCommerce was installed. But because the theme had it already built in, the installation, we chose to do this manually. So that's how we're going to do it. And it's also good practice just to know in case something ever goes wrong. You going through these settings will automatically know what this stuff is. So I'm going to go over here to pages, and I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to click open in a new tab, and that's going to open a new tab up here. Okay, and I can see all of the pages that we have that exist with the template. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click add new. So I'm adding a new page. We're going to call this shop. So I'm going to type in shop. Okay, and that's it. All right, and we're going to click publish. And just let that save. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and flip back to this tab up here at the top. All right, and I'm going to just click up in the URL here and click enter. That's going to refresh the page. And it should show up in here in the list. There it is. So I'm going to go ahead and add shop there. I'm also going to click, so shop page display. So on the shop page itself, if somebody goes to your website /shop, it doesn't have to be shop, by the way. It could be whatever other, you can call it products or whatever you want to call this page here. I just called it shop. You can you can call it whatever you want. Do you want to show products right on that page right away? Do you want to show categories and products, or just categories by itself? So if you have a lot of different product types and so you want to set up lots of categories, you might want to show initially just the categories, and then people click into there and view the products, or categories and products. So I'm going to go ahead and click on just show products. I don't see any specific reason to show the categories, because we're not going to have in this particular site, I'm not going to have a brand with so many different variations of categories. Say it's going to be a couple of products that I'm going to have on there. So I'm just going to click on that one. The default category display, which was showing the show products here, that's a good one to have as well. If you do have multiple categories, you can also put in here, say show subcategories, so the customer has to keep going down the category list until they get to the specific products. I would probably more like show subcategories and products, because then it shows them everything, and then they can drill down the categories to filter the products down. This gives them a little bit more flexibility there. And so that's kind of what I would put on that one. Again, these are settings that you can change at any time. On your website, once we start testing this and seeing how it looks, we might want to come back here and change these settings to see how it looks. And so keep in mind to remember where this is, so that you can always come back in here and change it whenever you like to. Add to cart behavior. This is really interesting. If you have, let's say, if you're only ever going to sell somebody one product, and maybe not even multiple of one product, is literally one piece of one product, you might want to do something like redirect to the cart page after they've added it to cart. And what that does is, once somebody adds it to cart, it forces them to go to the cart page to start the checkout process. So that's really handy for there. If you want your customer the ability to add more products to the cart, maybe more quantities, things like that, you might want to leave that unchecked. The next one is enabling Ajax add to cart buttons. The Ajax is I believe I explained this before, it is some code on your browser. You don't see that interacts with the back end of your website without you seeing it. So it's nice and smooth, and it doesn't cause the whole page to refresh when you add things to cart. So it's a very nice, seamless thing to leave on there. So I would personally leave this Ajax add to cart button on archives on there. This product images is similar to what we saw in the WordPress settings. This is hard cropping your product images. And these are default sizes that are being used, and hard crop actually forces the picture to be a certain size. Every time you save a picture for a product, it automatically changes, or it saves numerous pictures in different sizes depending on what you're using it for. And what that does is it just saves the load time every time somebody goes to your website. Initially they see the thumbnail. If they go to the actual product page, they might still see the bigger version of the product, etc. So it just saves on bandwidth, or the amount of data that's transitioning back and forth between the customer and the server. I would leave this pretty much the same, unless your template, it doesn't look good and you might need to change these. But once you've changed them, that can have a very big effect on the way it might be displayed, especially your old ones. So if you do, you have to run this tool to regenerate your thumbnails, because all of your old product pictures will not be cropped correctly. So you would have to run this tool here if you do make those changes. Okay, I'm just going to leave them as it is because I don't see yet a reason to change that. Okay, so that is the the display portion of the products. We're going to go to the inventory tab now underneath the products and just take a look at what we need to do there. Do we want WooCommerce to enable stock management? Now, if you are running a sort of parallel, you've got some products on Amazon or some other platform and some on your website, but you're reserving your products on your website for just selling there, you might want to enable stock management. Otherwise, you can uncheck this and it doesn't matter how many products somebody buys, it will sell it to them. So it is a fail-safe method of stopping any overselling or back ordering, things like that. So this is where the how much time does a stock come out of stock while somebody has it in their cart? Okay, so when somebody adds it to the cart, it actually pulls that product out of stock temporarily so that you don't end up leaving or end up overselling. So that's a good feature. So say 60 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever you want. And what will happen is, I believe it just comes out of the cart after 60 minutes and they have to re-add it to the cart. So it'll come back if the customer, or if they refresh their cart and it's still in stock, it'll just pull it back out again. Okay, so that's a good fail-safe. Notifications on low stock, that is notifications that come to you if you're running out of stock. So it emails to you. Here's the email address that you would put that you would want those low stock notifications to go to. That doesn't go to the customer. This is the amount of products in stock where it would start notifying you of it being low stock. And of course, this out of stock threshold is 0. If you want to leave one in there or 2, change this to 4, and then maybe have 2 of the out of stocks. So basically, the way I would work this mathematically is, how long does it take you if you sell 10 of a particular product a day, and it takes you 2 weeks, so 10 business days to receive a restock order, then you want to mathematically calculate your out of stock thresholds and your low stock thresholds, so that you know when you can buy or how long you have time to buy a product. So low stock, you might want to put say 20 or 30 in here because that's how long it would take, say, to sell in a week or 2 before getting a new order in. Out of stock visibility. Do you want to hide out of stock items from the catalog? I personally, if you're going to be using this feature, I would not hide them, but I would definitely show what the maybe show something like here. I would never show the quantity, or you can show how many is left in stock. I know that Amazon does this personally, and I think it helps kind of drive like, ooh, I better buy it now before somebody else gets it. If they've only got 2, I don't know how long it's going to be till they get some more. So you can change that to whatever you want, and that shows up on the front end. Okay, so I don't want to show everything, just only show quantity when it's low. Okay, so and put this put this up at maybe 7 or whatever, then that way it'll show nice here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Perfect. So that is the inventory section of this. The next one is downloadable products. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now, if you don't need to listen to this part if you're not going to do any sort of downloadable products, ebooks, or software. If you're selling software or something like that, you can skip this part. But if you do this, of course you don't need shipping. So you can, if your whole entire product line does not require shipping, you can disable the shipping back on the general tab there. And so here's what you want to do. Do you want to redirect them to get the file? Do you want it to just force the download? What happens is once they pay for it, it automatically downloads to their computer. You can redirect them to an area to go download that, or you can have this send file thing. If you see the hints that they say here is if you want to keep the URLs hidden, you might want to use some other options. Now, there are some plugins you can download that handle file downloads a little bit better, but what you want to do fundamentally is keep somebody from being able to share links and having people that haven't purchased your product being able to download it without paying for it. So I would definitely then check off downloads require a login, so that forces a person to have to have been logged into your website. And then grant access to downloadable product after payment. Of course, you would want that checked off for downloading products. I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes on that. And that's it for the General Products tab. And so feel free to ask any questions if you have any on this. Otherwise, we're going to be moving over to the next one, which is regarding the taxes.